Talk about some more great jazz, boy. WTBC, they were laying it down in the summer of 1973. They're laying down some of those R&B jams. They did it back in the 60s into the early 70s. WTBC, Tuscaloosa, 1230 WTBC. It's a debut at number, there's two debuts on this playlist, on this survey, this top 30 survey. And coming in at number 26, the debut, Gypsy Man by War. Man, I was talking about this song with a friend of mine a few years ago. He was telling me I'd listen to this song, Gypsy Man. I have the top down in my car and just cruise down the road. I mean, the wind blowing through your hair. It's just a classic cruising record. With that surround sound and the wind blowing, the sounds of the wind. It's a brilliant record. War, Gypsy Man. It's from their sixth album, War's sixth album called Deliver the World. War, just briefly, history of War, this very brief history of War. War started out, it was a concept by Eric Burdon, formerly of Eric Burdon and the Animals, and also a production, a songwriting maestro. His name was Jerry Goldstein. Jerry Goldstein, he was, gosh dog it, Jerry Goldstein, along with Bob Feldman and Richard Gotterer. I'll just pronounce this Gotterer. It could be pronounced as Gotterer. These three guys, they produced Hang On Slippy by the McCoys. They were a hot songwriting production team in the mid-60s. They wrote My Boyfriend's Back by the Angels. Jerry Goldstein did with Bob Feldman and Richard Gotterer. As a matter of fact, one of those guys went out with one of the women who was in the Angels, but I forgot her name. But most of all, these three guys, including Jerry Goldstein, they were members of the Strangeloves. They masqueraded as Australian sheep farmers. They had this clipped British accent because if you sounded British in the mid-60s, 1964, 65, we are at the height of Beatlemania. We are in the thrust. We're in the cusp. We're in the grip of the British invasion. If you sounded British, you had yourself a hit. Possible hit. The Strangeloves, this production team, including Jerry Goldstein, Bob Feldman, Richard Gotterer, they had that hit, I Want Candy. Summer of 1965. And we are talking a classic rock and roll record. The absolutely incessant pounding African drum beat. And those sweaty, hot guitar licks. Hot, sweaty guitar licks. Just catchy as hell. Great harmonies. Jerry Goldstein later helped form War, the group War, along with Eric Burdon. They had the hit War with Eric Burdon, Spill the Wine, summer of 1970. With Eric Burdon and War together, they came out with about 2 albums, but sometime around 1970, maybe early 1971, right in the middle of a tour in Europe, Eric Burdon left the group. War, they were on their own. Their first album was called War. It was released in 71, didn't do much of anything, and then All Day Music in 1971. One of the most beautiful records, laid back, pastoral records that ever came out. All day music. Music is what we like to play. You could do transcendental meditation on that record. That's how peaceful it was. It's beautiful. But damn it, it just barely cracked the top 40. TBC played it. Maybe the radio station you grew up with played it too. Barely cracked the top 40 and then Slipping in the Darkness. That was a bigger hit. I'm thinking that was around late 71, early 72, around spring 72. And then The World is a Ghetto. Fall of 1972. Co-produced by a couple of the members of War and Jerry Goldstein. The World is a Ghetto, Cisco Kid, and then we got Gypsy Man. It went to number 8. Billboard's Hot 100. Yes. Slam dunk debut on WTBC survey at number 26. The week of July the 18th, 1973.